thing is with all of this is the American drone companies should be worried.
Well done. That was a good way for you to lead in. Perfect. Yeah, I think they should as well. They've got a very tiny market because they're restricted by ITAR, and now can you trust them? Are you going to buy some gear? They're going to put a kill switch on it. It looks like F-35 purchases everywhere are coming up under scrutiny. And the extraordinary thing is, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on every social thing I go, I'm getting flipping adverts from Lockheed Martin telling me how good the F-35 is, which is extraordinary. They've singled me out very well because obviously I'm the man that they're going to come and ask.
How did they know you were going to buy one?
Decision.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Targeted marketing, Gary. Targeted marketing.
They're very targeted, very, very accurate, very, very accurate.
I haven't seen any ads for the F-35 on Pornhub though.
No.
Evening
all, Johnny MTV, Dan. Hello, everyone. Sorry, Mark.
The problem is in the UK, we are so reliant on American hardware, and now they can't trust it because you can't trust anything. Anything the Americans give you is now a big problem. The problem is we have two carriers, although one of them's like, we'll just use that one as a backup occasionally, send it out for like nice stuff. But, and then the other one has the F-35s on it. And I think
what do you mean send it out for nice stuff? To go and get the takeaways or something?
Yes.
What do you mean?
They put a few helicopters on it. They put a few helicopters on it and send it out, jolly around the world. That's all it's good for, really, at the minute. But the other one has got a few F-35s on it. But what's the point in them now? Why would you? We need another solution. The UK needs to look for something else to go on those carriers, regardless, friend or not. America is no one's
Harrier.
Harriers were perfectly good, right? The reason they got rid of the Harrier is hilarious. They said because it couldn't go sonic, right? Couldn't reach Mach. They said, "Oh, we've got to get rid of it. It's old and it's no good." The Harrier was fantastic in combat. It could outmaneuver anything else in a dogfight near as damn it. They were fantastic planes. But
the Harrier is how we aviate.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. I see what you did there. Very good. Be it not to be, because it's the bees now, isn't it? I think. And that's basically what the GR5 was. I think it was anyway.
But how many things have you got around you with an ESP32 in it? Because there was a release this week.
Oh yeah,
your backdoor in the ESP32.
One, two. It's every. No, that's been known for ages. Every ESP32's got a backdoor in it. Every single one. Yeah. Very, very, very well. But isn't that a perfect example of what you do if you want to get sensors everywhere you can or get little exploits? You make it the ultimate fiddler's little computer that is cheap as chips. And
the new thing, the Internet of Spies.
Yeah.
Most modems have back doors. If you know where you're looking, most only
the gay ones.
CCTV cameras. Most CCTV.
Even our house.
Yeah, you get CCTV.
Well, the CCTV.
They've all got back doors somewhere. It's very hard to remove back doors because it could be in the SM30, it could be in the 32, it could be anything. It could be so many little chips. You can just give that little back door. It's nuts.
But it's easier than that, though, isn't it? If it's a web-enabled device, you can count on many, many people not to change the default password.
Yeah.
So it's just even easier.
But backdoors are mandatory in the UK, aren't they? With Apple, anyway.
They are. Yeah. And then that thing, the name of which I've forgotten, Sapient. Sapient. That's a built-in backdoor for the security services. Cool. Look at us going all political and ranting, and I haven't actually welcomed Josh from Canada. We've got Canadians in the comments. We've got Canadian.
Are we paying 25% more for his appearance fee?
We are. Yes.
Tariffs.
We are. Yeah, that's right. And I believe it even might have gone up a bit today.
Yeah, 50%.
I saw Trump say, what was it? Did our electricity go up to 50% too?
I'm not sure. They were going to cut it off completely at one stage, weren't they?
Yeah. So the thing is, so the guy that's talking a lot is a guy named Doug Ford. He's a premier of Ontario. Sorry, and they suspended export tax today. See everything. So Ford just got elected for 4 more years, like last week or something, 2 weeks ago. So he's kind of in Ontario's the biggest purchaser of booze. We have one purchaser, and so yeah, it's an interesting time. Aluminum is now 50%. Oh man, things are expensive, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll send you beer and whiskey. We've got plenty of beer, cider, and whiskey. We just ship it off from the UK to you.
We actually make a lot here too, but yeah, we'll take others. I guess.
Ford back down, according to James. Ford back down, according to James. I'm not going to lie. I just want to try and pronounce your surname. Sorry, James. Ford back down. Ford in the US making cars, or Ford's with the thing, but it's just nuts, isn't it? The whole thing is nuts, and it makes no sense. Just before we start, we were discussing the 51st state, which is either going to be Greenland or Canada. The 52nd will be Panama. Maybe once Mexico as well. I don't know, but it's just all nuts.
Reminds me of our mayor. There's these people throwing their toys out of the cot because they can't get their way.
Well, there's you, but your mayor's a jolly fine chap because he's called Gary, so that's all right. So, but if you haven't seen Bruce's trying to go to prison video, you should watch Bruce's, and it's not on his OnlyFans. Is trying to go to prison video where he stood up and made your point. Fair point, well made, and they were somewhat dodgy in the council. Where are we at? Because was that last week? Are we further down the road with that now?
Well, there's a public meeting tonight that I'm going to attend, so there'll be probably some outcome from that. This is a meeting of ratepayers, local people rather than council. So there's a great deal of dissatisfaction with the council. A lot of it on the back of that video I put out there, because it's now been seen 170,000 times and going 2,500, 3,000 comments, all decidedly against the mayor, who seems to place his pride ahead of any obligation to look after the interests of the community. And that's going down like a lead balloon. So who knows?
I would love to see you run for it, Bruce. I know you work, I know you can't, but I'd love to see you just run for it, because I think you'd run away with it.
I probably would. I'll put the wife up. She can do it.
Run away with something. There's something to run away with. Yeah. So let's actually have some news, and I know that Josh wants to talk some stuff with us, and I will come to the thing that I put up for the thumbnail, which is very cool and also Canadian. But wait, there's more. It's Canadian hour. Go, please share. So we've seen this. This came out yesterday. We all know what it looks like.
Doesn't it?
I'm surprised that people are still shocked that this is hard to make.
Banshee.
Well, yes.
It looks just like a banshee. Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? But obviously, the Ukrainians are going to produce things like this, and they're going to produce them in the thousands. But good on them, and it's not as hard as people think. But the one that really annoyed me. Hang on, here's one that annoyed me. This annoyed me. This annoyed me because of the sheer utter amount of XL BS in the press release about where's innovation breakthrough, because none of us have ever seen anything lift off the ground like that.
Totally new to me.
Totally new.
I've never seen a Wintra do that.
No, you wouldn't see a Wintra. You wouldn't see the thing. Oh, fuck, there's no end of them. But
they're the worst of all worlds too. That design, the worst of all worlds.
Well, they are, aren't they? And they call it distributed lift, which is blown wing. Well, I've got theories on that, why they've made this one a high aspect ratio. But partly is for that very reason, to give it less footprint in the wind.
Yeah, but you don't want too less footprint, because look what happened to that thing that landed on the moon the other day. It fell over.
Oh, am I not here?
You're still here.
Anymore.
No, you're gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm back. I'm back. I was there. I'm not here, and now I'm back.
Do you ever just edit?
You don't want to? Sorry, say again.
Do you ever just edit the press releases and use like just highlight yellows of things that you want taken out?
There'd be nothing.
No,
left for a
I
byline.
no, yeah, no, I leave them in because SCS news readers are people from industry. They're reasonable, and some and they can see straight through the bull dust. And I do enjoy finding the really BS ridden ones and putting them up. And I've had some big complaints. There was one I found that was, and I've said this a couple of times on this. Go on, mate.
You know how when you go into a foreign language page in Google,
I've
it has a
gone
little.
again.
No, you're still there. It has a little translate link. You should put a translate link on all the press releases so you can turn it into what's actually reality. You know, cut out all the hype and hysteria and just put the facts. So translate into reality.
Yeah, well, there was one that had perpetual motion in it, and people got very, very angry with me
That must have been
for
genuine.
putting that in. Well, exactly, but you can't see through it. But they're talking about how they've invented new control algorithms, and it's a blown wing. I don't think that's a blown wing with two. Yeah, well, I suppose it is, because it's got two rotors moving over the entire wing area. But I would rather see four motors. And as I'm not sure if I missed the bit where Bruce said it, but if you have an engine failure in that, you're toast. But it is. The Wintra's done very well, and I've seen the Wintra flying in some pretty strong winds. But my word, the birds attacked it. Really attacked it. Really. Yeah, and on Lake Victoria, all the yellow-billed kites were just dong, dong. Even when it started up, well, I don't know if it was the aircraft or whether it was the particular noise it made. Yeah, as soon as it started up, they were getting ready to dive bomb the thing, and they did. But I thought that was a very poor showing from Sikorsky. They've got one of those tilt wing ones coming. That has more chance to it, I think. But I think this just demonstrates that they can't be asked. They're not putting enough. There's a shite glide fancy wings. I'm just seeing the comments again. Exactly right. Oh, let's have that one from Josh. We'll bring that in a minute. And this one is just interesting because there's a huge electric motor that's going to go straight onto the shaft, exactly where the Continental 360 went in light helicopters. So there it is. Obviously, we're waiting for batteries and things like that in the real world, but here it is. It's ready. You just bolt it on, and away you go. So that's interesting. I thought that's why I put that one in from Magni X, and then this one, which we will probably now discuss a little bit.
This is the UK.
Yeah. Meh. Meh.
I'm underwhelmed.
So am I.
Yep. It doesn't do it. The kicker is, right, and this is the rule one is we avoid manned aviation, right? So the problem is manned aviation. We have to avoid it no matter what. That is rule one, if you like, and fly safely and all the other stuff. But basically, we have to avoid them. If we can't see them, we can't avoid. It's making it harder for us to avoid them.
Uh-oh. Is that me gone him?
No, you're still here, mate. You're only gone at your end.
You're in. But if we could see all manned aviation with electronic conspic, and we got all manned, there's fewer of them for a start, so there's not thousands of them, or hundreds of thousands, should I say? There's I think there's a few thousand. If we could see all manned aviation, we could see the sky. Then we can avoid them. You bring this in so we can see other drones, but it's only a halfway house at the minute. It's not enough, unfortunately. It sounds good. People are going, yeah, it's the next best thing, but it's not. It's only until we can see all manned aviation without systems like Skyways by Altitude Angel to help us, until we can actually see the full sky. It's just, I'm afraid I can't get excited. I just can't do it.
Yep.
Yeah, well, there was this trial in the UK where they had the 978 beacons at these sites here, and there were obstacles, so they had the position going out on 978, so aircraft that were suitably equipped could see these gliding and model airfield sites. So instead of using the map, the sites announced their position. Go on, Mark.
But here's the problem. They're talking about manned aviation seeing the sites or seeing stuff to avoid. It's not their job. Manned aviation doesn't avoid us. We with no one in it, with unmanned aviation, we avoid them. And the responsibility is on us. In a giveaway situation, we always yield to them. It's no good.
But that's them avoiding all those sites that don't go anywhere because they're airfields and stuff. So that's them being given an electronic ping for the sites to avoid. But surely your modern electronic map has all those sites anyway and helps you avoid them. So it seems like an extra.
How many manned aircraft are equipped to receive these signals?
Well, funny you should mention that, because there I have a slide just ready with the various things. So the avionics, Sky Echo, it's almost like that. There's on the left, there's a scenes tab. So I was actually surprised at how many of these electronic flight bags can see 1090 and 978. So that did surprise me. I'm not sure. I've grown up in the comments. So we do have grown ups. That's good. We did. Dan's here. But I'm not wondering if 978 wasn't to free up a few more numbers, because we know that if everyone was to equip with ADS-B on 1090, they've run out of codes, or they will quickly run out of codes from that. All UAS couldn't have it. So I wonder if it wasn't. I believe it's also to end up being a slightly cheaper system. In the US, you're not allowed it above 18,000 feet, and you're to have it in conjunction with a standard aviation transponder as well. So yeah, I think cheaper was probably half the thing. So we'll see how that goes, but that's a bit meh. The CAA announced it in the UK and UAvionics, but it is a matter of fact, and I won't add any comment to it, but it is a matter of fact that a chap left the Civil Aviation Authority, went to work for UAvionics, and then came back to work at the Civil Aviation Authority. So that is a matter of record. So CAA, UAvionics, CAA. And now we seem to have a product that UAvionics is quite well suited to reach out to. They make this device, the Ping 2020, which transmits on 1090 and on 978, and will be just perfect if you were wanting to use this. Hashtag just saying. Far be it from me to comment.
Coincidence is a wonderful thing.
It is. Yeah, because I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what. Unless you might have some opinions on this, Josh. You're a safety board. You know these things.
A little. I know about UAvionics. I know about some of the work. I know they do certified work and but that's not really in Canada. We're not too. We still have planes flying without ADS-B, so it's not my.
Well, that's the bottom line, isn't it? Until a lot more guys are equipped with 978 or 1090, it's like me, because you've got FLARM, you've got loads, haven't you? I can't remember. There's loads of ways of doing it.
And I'm still trying to work it out. Manned aviation 500 and above, unmanned 400 and below. Stay away from airports. Where is this collision risk we're talking about?
I actually have one. I should show you a photo. So I actually have. So we are across the street from an uncontrolled airspace, local airport, and our office building is actually underneath the landing approach, and we have a net there that we drop drones into. And so we're at
net. It's trying to catch airplanes.
Yeah. We basically have a net that we fly probably 80 feet and lower, and they come and they're landing. And I can tell you, they all don't follow the circuit, and they cut corners quite actively. And we are very mindful of their location. And we also fly across the street from the airport at a golf course. And at that golf course, there's helicopters doing training and So, and again, it's one of those like we do the nice thing and like call the airport and let them know we're flying and when we're flying and like time windows. So we've only had one what I would call a Karen show up at our field because they accused us of being on his approach, but it's like, no, dude, that's not possible. But yeah, so there is situations. I have seen a guy buzz us at like 350 feet once over our field, and like you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, this whole burden of responsibility on the part of the unmanned aircraft operator is silly, because when you have manned aircraft violating the rules applied to them, if they come along at 100 feet and hit your UAV, it's still your fault. I mean, I'm sorry, but there has to be an apportion of blame there. And if he's breaking the rules and you're not, then it's his fault.
Well, you know what's funny on that is speaking of Canada and all this, I was reading an article and they're tracking all the helicopters tracking the borders and stuff, and actually we're at one of the airports where they're taking off because we've been noticing more and more helicopters, and like you come out at night at like 6 or 7 and you just hear the don't won't and you're like, what's going on? And it's like, oh, the border. But yeah, no, there's definitely higher traffic, especially on the weekends. It's definitely a riskier environment. And like, yeah, the fact that like we had one guy in 8 years now come and say something, and like it's just a headache for me. I have to go talk with the people and, you know, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's as Bruce is alluding, really. I mean, where is the risk? And I think Richard from Altitude Angel did some simulations where they just kept adding aircraft doing random things to the sky, and they had to have an awful lot of aircraft before.
And he's gone. And meanwhile, in the USA, another airplane crashes into a built-up area because the door was open. I mean, they don't seem to be paying much attention to the real causes of loss of life in the US airspace.
It's all
focusing on unmanned aircraft.
Oh, it's the easy cop-out, right? It's the easy blame.
Yeah.
It's the, you know, and I think it's becoming more and more evident there's more taxpayers in the drone industry than there is in crewed aviation. Now, users of the aircraft, you know, the airspace is probably still the general population. I guess, what does the general population want? I guess shouldn't they be the ones that decide, because they outnumber all of us? Like if I get
what do you mean general?
Like I mean, like if I go fly between Ottawa and Toronto or St. John and Quebec City or something, like me as a consumer of that service would probably be the bigger economic impact, right? Like, get away from the argument.
Paying to be there, the taxes that you'd have for the flight services built into your ticket. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah,
because like in Canada, NAV Canada is responsible for the airspace. They're a nonprofit, but they, you know, make a couple bucks every time we fly. So I guess for me, it's a situation where who's the ultimate decision maker? Who should be it? It's obviously not drone people. We don't have a say. We're not worthy, I guess. But does crewed aviation, like the hobbyist pilot, really have an equal say, or is it, you know, my mom who goes and flies to see her sister?
No, I think it is. It is. Well, it's definitely the airlines have got the biggest say, and they should be popping up and above a couple of 1,000 feet quickly and up out of the way of us, really. So. And they're paying for that privilege, and they have big blocks of controlled airspace that looks after them. But the people that have a loud voice is that person that came and knocked on your door and saw you flying and complained. Is general aviation. They have a louder voice than I think perhaps they should have, because it's just.
It's because
I'm a general aviation pilot, so you know I can blame myself here, but because. You know, it's fun flights. I'm not that I've flown for ages, but you general aviation, you're not doing something for higher reward. You're not making money. So now we have a situation where you have people making money up in the airlines, in the airways, up high, and then you have people really close to the ground making money with the drones and doing useful and important work. But there's this group of people that want to have a louder voice, and Johnny D saying Starlink just took over for them. I don't know. I hope they didn't. But yeah, that's the way I see it. So we're in an unusual position where the general aviation, which had a loud voice, is probably feeling a little bit threatened now, and and so they should. But there's no reason why we shouldn't share the skies with everybody. It's not. It shouldn't be a them and us. It should be a. Well, we need to get out of the way of the airliners, and we need to get out of the way of the military training because they're doing a serious job. Search and rescue helicopters, air ambulances, police, all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
We need to
but
get
with
out of the way of
military
them.
training, airliners should get out of the way of military training. Look what happened in DC. You can't. I think
Well,
military
yes.
training has
Well,
to be
true.
reined in a little bit. You know, you can't say, "Oh, it's essential." No, not if it's costing lives. Military training should be subject to just as much, if not more, regulation and control than other forms of aviation.
But that was a really poor procedure that they got away with for years and years and years and years and years until they didn't. That was a really dreadful procedure. They shouldn't have. Well, there's so many things wrong. They shouldn't have been on MVG goggles.
Well, the FAA
In
was
that-
too
in that
busy
area.
implementing remote ID to do anything sensible about that.
Right? Are the FAA going to implement anything for the next 4 years? Or they just be chasing their tails because there's only 4 of them and a dog left?
Exactly.
You know.
Elon's going to have the dog fired too, apparently.
Oh, yes. Yes. Downsize the dog. Went from a great big, full,
Well,
massive Chihuahua or something. Yeah, dog downsizing. Yes. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen with all of that? And I worry not only actually. Okay, so Starlink for the FAA for air traffic, that is a worry, but the bigger and more existential threat for people across many groups, not just in the world of aviation, is all the sackings at NOAA. That's nuts idea. Is getting rid of the weather people. That is just that affects.
But why, Gary? Whether's going to happen whether those people are there or not.
And it's gonna be wrong, or it's going to be wrong if they're there or not. But at least it's something, right?
Yeah. All right, then sack them all.
Well, we have a
I wonder if that was
people
the
there.
debate. Well, it's wrong this percent of time
Yeah.
because the forecasting is it's supposed to be absolute, I guess. I wonder if I would love to have been in the room being like, let's not care about hurricanes today. That's not a problem. It's DEI related.
Yeah. Here in New Zealand, we upgraded our supercomputer in the weather department, but they're still using the same dartboard and darts to make this forecast, so it hasn't made a jot of difference.
Did you see? Well, you said yeah. Did you see the removal of Enola Gay from the records because it contained the words "gay"? So they've removed Enola Gay. It's like what?
It's go from sublime to ridiculous, don't they? There's no centre ground with politics. You're either all one way or all the other.
Yeah, that's quite extraordinary.
Ideology equals pragmatism.
The Noah thing just blew my mind. That just strikes me as foolish. It really does. That's all walks of life, including the ice cream salesman. All the sort of supermarkets base all their buying on. I know we joke and say the weather's inaccurate, but it's fairly good. It's not as dreadful as we think, and it's a very hard thing to do, and especially with climate change. The models that worked in the Cray supercomputer in the 70s is broken, so they've got to keep. If we don't research the models for our changing weather, then we've had it, because there'll be no new algorithm for. It's okay. But exactly that's just what I was going to say. AI, and as long as we pay with it by Bitcoin, it'll be all right.
And
we must use some blockchains on a quantum computer with a bit of blockchain.
Powered by nuclear fusion.
Exactly.
Just imagine if AI was to go, do you know, I can make some money here, and starts charging you for everything you want it to do. AI just goes, I'm not doing it until I get some Bitcoin. Thanks.
That's what ChatGPT does anyway.
Yeah,
imagine the weather computer goes, you can have that report, but it's going to cost you. You know, imagine the AI weather computer decides to go rogue and goes, do you know what? This is now going to cost you. I've got stuff to do.
And imagine if it says, I don't want your US power, I want some of that lovely Canadian electricity.
Oh,
yeah, fine.
Mountain.
That's Mountain Fresh, isn't it? Mountain Fresh bespoke Canadian energy.
Just a hint of that maple syrup.
Yeah, maple fuel,
Yeah.
we'll call it.
But also it must be a little bit more efficient because I mean it's downhill from there, so it must get there quicker than going the other way, be uphill, wouldn't it? So it must
Yeah, but it's
flow
got to
down
go
there.
over the igloos, through the polar bears. There's a lot of
Thermal stuff works so much better when the air is cold and dense.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Mr. Fish. Well, Mr. Fish was responsible for Seven Oaks becoming Three Oaks, and you've allowed me to pull up a sandbag. I was actually in a sandbag story. I was actually enjoying what should have been a very quiet night at the Scottish Air Traffic Control Centre at Prestwick. Our night shifts there consisted of going to sleep. We're supposed to be protecting the free world or whatever, and we on the teleprinter, I remember that night. It was a big storm in England, which very, very unusual, and the winds reports that all the airfields just kept going up and up, gust whatever. I was like, oh, and then somebody said, oh no, look out, they'll all be diverting up here, and they did. They started coming up to Edinburgh and Prestwick and all that in the middle of the night. So we had a busy night. I remember that night very well when Mr. Fish said. So I can't remember. I have to find the video. Well, I think
there's no storm coming or something.
Everyone keeps saying I'll find the video and it'll make the context. And he became famous for it. There must be 15th of October. Oh, here it is. Right, let's see if it plays. Is it going to play? And then I'll play it to you if it does. Oh, it's on the Daily Mail.
Ooh, must be true.
It must be true, yeah. All right, let's present. Let's share the screen. Wow, the adverts that come up, when just nod if you can hear what he says.
A woman rang the BBC and said she heard that
can you hear him?
On the way. Well, if you're watching, don't worry, there isn't. Yep. But having said that, actually, the weather will become very windy. But most of the storm.
I was up there in Scotland, Spain, and there's Seven Oaks down there.
France as well. But there's a vicious-looking area of low pressure on our doorstep, nevertheless, around about the Brittany area, and that is going to head across the southeastern part of the country, bringing, if nothing else, a lot of rain with it. Earlier on today, apparently.
So yeah, that was very famous in England. He said that the night before. So we were at work, and then it got windier and windier and windier.
It was a vicious piece of low pressure. I mean,
it was a vicious piece of. The weather app told her the winds reached. Did you know, Dan the Drone Man, that happened here as well? And we were at school. We got exactly this, but it was here in South Africa, and one of my colleagues said it's going to be 200 and something kilometers an hour.
It's 14,000 miles an hour. That's
yeah, absolutely. It is a bit, isn't it? Do you think, when you put your hand out in the car when you let the wind blow the hand? Do you think if you put your hand out of the window in a 14,000 mile an hour wind, if your hand would blow back much?
We'll just look at the latest Starlink launch to see what. Or Starship launch to see what that looks like. 14,000 mile an hour wind.
Yes, hasn't he been losing $100,000 a minute for the last 2 days or something?
Taxpayers paying for all that anyway. Forget your drone shows, mate. He's so good with the fireworks, Elon.
He is good with the fireworks. It's got to be true. Now, Josh, I've forgotten which safety thing you wanted to come and talk to us about, or what.
I wanted to talk to Mark about kinetic energy. I saw your comments. And 6.5 kg is a number that I have to debate on. I have to discuss.
What did I say? What was wrong? What did I say?
You said the gold shot from the Assure was 6.5 kg.
So that I thought, Assure released the data, didn't they? And they said they didn't. It wanted.
Can I explain? Can I go through the details and the nuance?
Please do.
Oh no, he's going with facts from Canada, Canadian fresh facts.
I'm happy to.
I will tariff you.
But I mean, I can happily put my hand up and go, I'm wrong. But I thought it was 6.5 kilos is the one that, if it was to hit you, above that weight is more likely, because what they found is that a lot of drones under 6.5 were built in such a way as well that they kind of had crumple zones that they didn't expect to happen. So when the drone hits you, when you get the impact, the drone is giving and it's taking some of that pressure off, which is what they found. But they said under 6.5 kilos, that there was less chance of the golden shot actually being, actually hitting you, if you like, being the impact.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm laughing at Dan's comments, throws hands, F for frangibility. Facts plus terror. So, okay, so your statement about frangibility is relevant. The weight is not. So,
Okay.
so taking a step back, Assure did a bunch of work for the FAA, and the FAA didn't actually adopt all their work. So that's kind of bullshit on the FAA. But what we need to understand with injuries is weight is one item, but not a true item. So let's use simple metric: 6.5 kg of foam versus 6.5 kg of metal. What would you rather be hit by?
Yeah, you're going to take the foam, aren't you?
I would hope so. Maybe unless it's frozen foam with a bunch of moisture.
But that's nice.
What about aerogel?
Then it becomes
maybe or crumple zones. But ultimately, like the Assure study looked at a bunch of drones. So they looked at Phantoms mostly. That was the most of their tests. You had SenseFly, which is the only drone right now, category 3, and I was told barely, approved also in Europe and Canada without parachute. Why? It's made out of foam. However, it does reach a speed, but it's been deemed acceptable. Everything else, and I've done testing from drones 1 kg, so like a Mavic, all the way up to the M300, 10 kg. I've done M30, I've done Doc 2, I've done a bunch of drones, and we've spent too much money breaking stuff to learn. And so when you look at an object, weight is one variable, but it's not the only variable. It has to do with frangibility, it has to do with plastics, your battery design can matter, your material selection, the angle, and then the other piece that you have to understand is crosswind speed. So when you have a drone coming just straight at like SenseFly, it's very easy to calculate. This is its free fall. It approaches terminal velocity. You can model that out. But when you have a parachute, you now need to calculate crosswind because it might be coming down 3.5 meters per second, which in the European context up until last year, or even in Canada, we don't really care. Even in Australia too, they don't care only about the vertical. But when the minute you add the crosswind, that thing becomes a sail. So then you suddenly start hitting a metric. So those are important as well. When you look at the injury scales, there's different types of injuries. So you have NIJ, which is your neck. You have your head injury criterion. You have your side impacts, your forward impacts, and all these metrics. Everyone's body impact location kind of has different lethality. So if you get hit in the leg, you can handle probably 6.5 kg, but you get hit in the head. From my experience watching, you're gonna not a good day. And the thing is what you have to understand is there's not like a golden shot because each body has part. And also when you do the testing, you're doing it with what they call a 50th percentile male. So you're doing it with a male body, but women and children have shown to have lesser injury metric. But we use 50th percentile male as like a default. And our actually FAA MOC, so our means of compliance with the FAA, makes us do this testing. So we've seen a lot of the data from this, and we've seen trends. And ultimately, like the FAA rules, we're getting some injuries that are half that of the automotive standard, FMV 208. But this is what the FAA has set as a bar. And then when you even look at what type of injuries, like the neck is more pronounced to injuries when you have a larger mass. Then like a small Mavic doesn't really move the neck much because it doesn't have the mass to move it. And so there's a lot of nuance on what you see. I can tell you for a category 2 drone, which is an FAA transfer of energy of 15 joules, which means not descent, but it means when it hits, it transfers. That injury is coming in anything under 2 kg, you probably should get category 2, but above 2 kg, you're really struggling to get that. So it's a very conservative number. As far as whether parachutes work or not, that's debate because there's been so many shitty products. I agree with that. I know ours work, and I do have drones do fail. Your other comment was related to like the Dutch report where it's like 1 out of 100,000 flights, but that was flyaway too. I can tell you from our data sampling, we're seeing drone failures, whether it's human error or drone. That's hard to debate because I can tell you we looked at a sample of like 230 units we had shipped during a certain period. We only had 4 deployments. Of those, 5 deployments. 1 was MTD. Someone in Germany pressed the button. Not sure why. 2 of them were human error, which they said, hey, I hit a tree or I hit a power line, like something simple. And then 2 of them were single motor failures, which under our model, the drone fell out of the sky, parachute deployed. We don't know if a propeller popped off. We don't know if it was human error. So that one is, but to say drones don't fail, I think you always have to add the human error element. And I think also with that report that was published, one thing no one's talking about is the 80%, not monopoly, but the 80% leader in the industry building drones for them, DJI. What happens with all these bands and all these products and they're not there? I would argue you would see a higher rate. And my statement comes from testing. I don't know, we worked with 15, 25 drone companies at this point. DJI is on a different level.
Yeah, and that's part of the report. The report only took into certain DJI drones as well, like the most recent models. It wasn't talking about the Mavic or the Phantom 4 Pro. It wasn't talking about the older generation. And it's like flyaways. I think one of the worst things that people say, oh, it got a flyaway. If a drone loses GPS, for example, and then the wind takes it, people think that's a flyaway. That's not a flyaway, right? That's just someone that can't fly with no GPS. That's human error, if you like, because they're not understanding that if they twiddle the sticks, the drone can come back to them. A lot of people just panic when they lose GPS, and then the wind's involved and people can't grasp. Twiddle your sticks, the drone will come back. You know what I mean?
I've only seen an M600 do a flyaway into a tree in 2018. Like personally, I've not seen any. And like again, like right now, I probably have a fleet of like 35, 45 drones, and they're all in like pretty rough shape. But this drone was fresh. This wasn't modified. This wasn't crashed. I've only seen one flyaway. I've heard of another flyaway where the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, lost
the Neo flies away a lot.
Yeah,
Pardon?
I mean,
the Neo, the DJI Neo, it's given to flying away.
Yeah,
there's plenty of videos. Yeah, it just like everything just pegs out and bugs off sideways until it's gone.
no, that's only 250 grams, so no one cares, right?
No one cares. No.
But I think we've put that down to the fact that it's a single board computer in there, and it's a bit overloaded
or overloaded.
Yeah.
But I mean, flyaways were interesting because back in the day, back in 2012, that kind of era, hearing of a flyaway from a Wukong and then the later A2, if they were on GPS, if they had a GPS one module, the stories of the flyaways were always about. We often heard someone has lost a drone due to a flyaway. And the technology got so good now with GPS that flyaways, I would say 99% of the time is pilot error. If someone says it's flying away, I would say if they're flying like a DJI A3 that's a built machine or something, anything that's got those flight controls in, I will be wary of because there is the chance it could. But the modern DJI stuff, I don't really go for this. Oh, it flew away. I think there was something else going on. I know
it's usually operator.
There's going to be like 1% chance. They're so good today. They're so reliable. The modern ones, it's crazy.
I think the problem is when it's not DJI. I think there's there's still like when we look at drone manufacturers, we call tier 1 DJI. They only are tier 1. Tier 2, we break it down in 3 categories, A, B, C. And like tier 2A, we count like 20, 25 companies. And then you just have a huge fall off of companies that are producing 5 units, 10 units a year. They probably don't have the resources. They probably don't have the testing. And I think those companies are the ones that, they're small business owners who are trying to survive and they're trying to sell a product and they're trying to grow their business, and they might push something without, not nefariously and not even like trying to cut corners. Like maybe it's not practical for them to do every check, and, things happen, and hopefully it happens on a test field. But I think there's an element with DJI getting banned, I guess, in different countries because we've fallen our orange friend to the party, that we're going to end up with some aircraft surprises, I think. And again, I don't think it's because a company built a bad product. I think it's one company's trying to say they're the next DJI when they're not. And I think it's also just a reality of like a small business just trying to survive.
But you're also going to end up with an awful lot of people that have grown up, if you will, and trained on DJI products, so they know how the apps work, they know how the sticks work. They've got also across the DJI sphere. So if the DJI sphere is reduced, those people So it won't only be the aircraft that'll be the problem; it'll be their unfamiliarity with how things operate. That's going to. I would put forward that that'll be more of a problem than the aircraft, because the aircraft, all of these the aircrafts are pretty good these days. The control links are pretty good. You've got to go way wrong, but not understanding how the thing works properly, that's gonna cause issues. So
Well, and
will we
also,
see things?
you know, what's
Sorry.
interesting on that point is about the crashes. There was a study published out of RMIT. What's this? This is the Australian. They looked at drone crashes, and I think it was like 80% technical error, but I think the real issue was it was self-reported. I don't know if you guys have you seen this report. I'll fire it over to you. It's the only peer-reviewed. I remember seeing this as a propaganda piece years ago. This is from 2016. But
Propaganda,
apparently
you say?
this study, but again, I think, of course, I think from Mark's point, it's like these are like pre-2020 drones. These are anything before the M200, the Inspire 2, Mavic 2 even. It's like, see, look at the date. It's like,
Look at those. Yeah, look at those years.
It's like, well, what do you expect? This was a different time.
Yeah. Well,
The problem
oh,
is,
look! But look at the. Sorry, I jumped in. Look at the incident. That was the notorious paper bag. That was the bag. That was the bag incident.
Like that bag from Temu on the bottom there, right? That's nice.
What do you mean the
Yeah,
bag?
exactly. Yeah. that incident there was in the end. It was a shopping bag, wasn't it? I'm trying hard to remember.
Single-use lightweight
lightweight shopping bags. Yeah, that's what it was. They saw. It wasn't.
The narrative plays again.
Yeah.
and here's the biggest problem amongst all this. So if you go back to those dates again, so those dates, the kicker is that when the regulators were doing everything and they're sorting out what regulations they want to bring in 2020 or whatever, they'll be using those kind of numbers from those dates. But the technology, in the meantime, does this massive jump on reliability, and DJI gets that much better that they base the current rules around old data that's completely now.
That's aviation. That's how aviation works. Everything is a decade out of date, or at least probably
But
two.
the problem is the rules that are built today are built off DJI data. You built off 80% of the market of DJI drones, and I would argue regulators know. I have never met a regulator that spoke ill of DJI. I have heard passive language from non-DJI companies. And my perspective would be, I bet your regulators, I bet you could FOIA this. Out of all the drone incidents and events, percentage of drones registered by DJI to crash ratio versus company A crash ratio, company B crash ratio. I bet you there's a higher ratio of failure incident.
With independence.
Yeah, based on the numbers. You couldn't do.
But if you wanted to do that, you'd have to know the flight hours for a company that's not DJI, what DJI's flight hours were. You'd have to know. Otherwise, I don't think.
Yeah,
that would be a much better comparison.
I have anecdotal evidence that I would never be able to share.
Why did you even bother trying to tell us that then?
So going back to the original thing that Mark was raising, there's only 4 factors that affect the lethality, isn't it? You've got the total energy involved, which is a combination of mass and velocity. You've got the rate at which the energy is transferred. You've got the area over which the energy is transferred, and the vulnerability of the target. So whether it's a head or a leg. So there's only 4 factors. It should be pretty easy to calculate.
Male and female. And the problem is, it's the drones. I have tested a drone in which my intuition was, this is going to create so many injuries, it's not going to pass. And then you test and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And I've seen drones that, like batteries play a role in it, how you design your battery, how much heat sink, because that's a cushion. And it's because the real injury, it's based on, it's the moment of impact. How hard and how long does that moment and how quick and what does it do?
Yeah, well, there's the transfer rate, isn't it? The rate of transfer.
And the speed that is coming in. And like here, I can show you, like, let me just see here.
I think Nerf has a big future in the drone industry.
What does?
Nerf.
Oh, you mean like foam?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure,
Nerf,
100%.
yeah.
It definitely plays a role in reducing how much it hurts somebody. That's just we have seen things on that. But then what happens to the foam in different environments? What about cold? What about heat? What about ice? What about sun? UV rays? What are the effects of that?
No, I'm thinking we should wrap people in foam.
Yeah, that would be
It
easy.
solves the problem.
Yeah. I can supply hockey helmets. Why don't we just do that?
Hockey helmets. Oh, I played that game once. That's a mad game.
Hockey.
That's a mad game. Yeah, ice hockey. Oh, I played it once.
Yeah.
Played
Ice
it
hockey,
once.
not field hockey.
And all I did was stand in the middle and had time to turn around as a load of people rushed that way, and then they rushed that way, and then some people slammed me into a wall.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I just stood there and said, "Well, puck me."
Well, there's professional
Exactly.
hockey in New Zealand. You can go in the UK. I don't think South Africa.
Yeah.
But there's hockey in Australia, New Zealand, UK. It's mostly Canadians. We get bored.
Let me share before my internet goes completely. Let me share very quickly that what was in the thumbnail, and this is this very, very excellent little autonomous boat. It's little and it's tiny, and it's launched from Canada a couple of days ago, and it's on its way to Hawaii now. And then when it's gone to Hawaii, they're going to pull it out of the water, check it's okay, and then they're going to send it on. They're trying to get it across to Japan, and they're really, really, really small. Now I'll put a picture of it in a minute, but the CEO is going to come and speak to us about it, Colin Angus. And when I saw him, I thought he's ideal for coming to talk to us. I mean, this is a man. This is a man that's going to he's going to fit right in.
There's nothing new, is it?
It's quite
There's been solar-powered boats circumnavigating the world, forever.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. No, there isn't anything new. But the thing with this is, come on, open tab, is it's less than a meter long, so it's categorized as flotsam, which is very, very clever. And that's the cheaper version they have, and then they have a solid sail version where technology.
I'm surprised they use sails.
So if it's less,
well, how would you do it?
It's solar panels and electric motor.
Solar panels and electric motor. Well,
yeah.
Look,
because you're not going to get your mast blown off and your sails in a storm. It's a much more survivable configuration.
There we are. There's the one that's going across now. Well, we'll have to ask him, won't we? We'll have to ask him why this is a why
what's
this
that on
is
top of the
better
mast he's got there? Is it antennas or something?
It's a windmill. It's a windmill.
Oh,
yeah.
A windmill. He's got a sail and a windmill.
Seriously, powers it the way he goes.
If he goes
no, the one that's going.
If you go fast with a windmill, well, then, the faster you go, the more power it generates. The faster it goes. Perpetual motion.
Charge it. There we go. Charge your engine exactly.
Yeah.
And if he goes in the ocean, that's going downhill. But I just thought this was interesting, and Colin's going to come and talk to us.
You'd have to watch out for tankers laden with jet fuel, though.
Oh, yeah. I should go there. Yeah, and they're going to work on putting a few more things, overlays on the map and things like that. Because it'd be interesting to what he said to me. They're going to look at putting AIS on it, and also the weather. Because
what about bombs?
That's good.
The Ukrainians are doing it. Their water-bound UAVs are very successful, apparently.
I think you want chainsaws for subsea cable.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this I'm going to follow this with interest. This is going to be the little boat that could sort of a thing. Strikes me as a massive ask for a thing that's about a meter long to go all the way to Japan via Hawaii. Otherwise, but I've been thinking last day or so. I've been thinking what's going from Canada. Surely they can find another island that's not America to send it via now.
Well, there's lots of little islands in the Gulf of America.
We could do Russia.
In the Gulf. Russia, yeah.
We could go up to like BC, skip Alaska, and get to Russia pretty quick.
I challenge him to fly it or drive it under the bridge in Crimea.
Oh, yeah. Well, there it is. There, the map doesn't zoom out. It's only 82 days out, I think it is. Let's see, look, 4,144 kilometers to go, and it's done 80 so far. So
the quickest path between any 2 points is a straight line.
Yeah.
Unless you're going around the globe.
Unless you're going around the globe. Yeah, well, that's no, not don't know how to do that. But yeah, I guess Hawaii is a great circle route from there. I don't know, but we'll see. But I thought that was a project worth looking at, and I think our viewers will be interested in that. Joey thought that was a picture of Bruce when he was 21. No, it would definitely been black and white, and it would have been a painting. Yeah, exactly. Would have been an oil painting,
or maybe even a cave drawing. We don't know.
Exactly. Because that's another pull up a sandbag story. We've got some here. So there we are, 55 minutes. So what else have we seen this week?
Did you see that AirRobot got bought by Quantum?
I did.
That's like, there's some. Well, I wonder what they do with the patent on the coaxial, but because that was the original patent. It was from AirRobot, right? The Germans.
It was, but it got bought by that other lot, the Norwegian lot.
But they sold AirRobot, but they didn't sell, because I have all the documents on what they were selling.
Well, AirRobot had that patent originally. Then it went to Nordic UAS. They bought it. Was it
Nordic?
Not Nordic?
Owned AirRobot.
Oh, did they? Oh, that's the bit I missed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then they've got that patent then.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is, have you ever talked to Florian, the guy from Quantum?
Years ago, yeah.
They've done a lot since 2020, and obviously the conflict has helped their business. But like, they seem legit more than anything. Like, out of anyone that's going to come and eat the American lunch, them and Orca FPV out of Croatia, they seem to be coming for and they build real product at volume.
Yes, yeah, they've got that sorted in there. And as you said, I'm interested you mentioned Orca. It's funny. So then if you went into the drone delivery sort of thing, there's only a couple of names that come to mind when I think of those things. There's obviously those two names that come to mind if you're eating America's lunch. But there's no reason why there's again this idea, and Dan saying about Volocopter bought by Diamond Aircraft. Well, they've obviously bought the IP really in effect, and I don't think the 600 workers will be going off to China, because Diamond Aircraft's owned by a Chinese company now, isn't it? So it's
here's the I don't know if you can read. No, you can't read that.
No.
The package. So it says here, package 6 subsidiary companies 4.5 bids may be submitted for individual company. However, please be aware that AirRobot GmbH and AirRobot something German and Nordic Unmanned should be acquired as a single package, in particular due to the link potential under the Tequila contract with Lockheed. So yeah, they were selling that business as a whole. Same with Drone Matrix. I don't know who bought the other pieces.
Well, it's keeping it local, isn't it? It's originally a German company. So that was quite big news.
Well, that's good news. Obviously, Volocopter got bought by, what did Dan say? Diamond Aircraft? Yeah,
Diamond, but it's a Chinese company, isn't it? It's that's who owns Diamond Aircraft. I'm not sure. It's just the IP they're getting out of that. I can't see that continuing.
Okay. Pass it on to Ehang.
Ehang, yeah, exactly. What else are you going to do? What else? I actually need to look at SGS News to see. I can't.
Yeah, but
I think
see the new Intuitive Machines probe fell over again on the moon. The second one that they've launched, it's fallen over. You think, and finally they've worked it out. The new one is a lot shorter, the lower center of gravity. You think they would have figured that sending a tall thing to an uneven surface is going to have a fairly low failure rate. And there's no truth to the rumor that after the success of the Ingenuity helicopter on Mars, that Intuitive Machines are going to use a helicopter on the moon.
No truth.
No truth to that rumor at all. No.
Well, the moon's a lot different, isn't it, to Mars?
Yeah, the moon's kind of grey and Mars is red. Hard to coordinate your colours when you're faced with those problems.
This was what I did mean to put this one up. This amused me that the PS Airspace B1 remote ID beacon selected DIU's blue list, and there it is, plonked down on top of a platform that most certainly isn't on the DIU's blue list. But it's interesting that they even bothered to seek to put that on the blue list. I'm not putting that very well, but it's like, why would you do that? And that would be bad news if that is an indicator that they're also going to want NDAA blue listed RID modules on your home built airframe, because that will shoot the cost up through the roof. That
But
was
no
I
one's
just think
doing
this
it.
is probably prepping for network base for BB-LOS
Yeah.
Part 108 rules.
Yeah, it probably is, and that's then going to make. So what have we got? We've got a UAVionics $2,000 978 UAT better kit on. This will become whatever it will become because it's network remote ID and it's NDA. So we might be looking at $3,000 worth of extra kit just to fly your homemade machine. Yeah. So there'll be obviously some of this or sometime will get built
Compliance
in.
could be low.
Well, when it's network, it won't be, will it? It'll be mandatory.
Only if you're hooked up to the network.
Resistance will be futile. Well, you're the sort of person that would break that law, as somebody, as Cliff said. He is a criminal. You see, Bruce is already
Absolutely.
leading us down these ways and means.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
Remember the immortal words of Harry Day.
Oh yes, indeed. Well, it's something about rules, isn't it?
Yes. Rules are for the
Laws
guidance
and
of
rules.
wise men and the obedience of fools.
Yes. So yeah, I think there's a bit of foreshadowing there that going on the list, and lots of people fell off the list. Of course, it didn't really cover
Yes.
that, but I think that's thought that was interesting. I mean, I wonder why that could have happened. Why would overseas companies fall off the list? Why would some other that had been on there all the time fall off? You know, they wouldn't have been changing. They would have been. It's a golden ticket to be on that list. So I can't believe people would have changed their way they built stuff so they'd suddenly be found to be in contravention of it. I mean, it's almost to me like. Go
Have
on.
you ever found it strange that Mr. Musk, who has battery factories and all of it, electric power and all the computer stuff, you know, but self-drive, hasn't got into the drone industry yet?
Well, people keep touting it, don't they? And then there's great big mock-ups and renderings from stuff that he's supposed to be doing, a bit like the robots. But I think, I mean, imagine if you were a company in America that suddenly had someone's son working
On
for
board.
you might be making a list. And there were lots of rumors that the DIU was going that ran that scheme were going to be shut down. That very
Isn't
quickly.
teal a shade of blue?
It is a shade of blue. So there were lots of rumors that DIU was going to be shut. Everyone was saying, no, they're get rid of it, get rid of DIU. And then little noises was saying, little voices were saying to me, well, maybe they're not. And then the following week, the blue list completely changes and DIU lives. Long live DIU. I mean, far be it for me to suggest any conspiracy theories, but it seems blame Canada. MTV, that's it. The MTV's got it right. It was Canada's fault.
I can see
That was
problems coming for people who live in the northern states. There's going to be spot checks by the FAA. They're going to ramp check you to make sure you haven't charged your lipos with Canadian electricity.
But because Canadian electricity is made in the mountains, it's light and airy. It's not got that industrial heaviness to it. So
25% heavier, mate. Or was it 50% heavier?
What?
I can't remember.
Well, they're 50% heavier.
Minerals for the
Yeah, no. So your UAS would fly, you know, that little bit lighter with those light electrons from Canada.
I can see a lot of memes
Northern light.
coming.
Yeah, red card approaching. Okay, Cliff. Yeah, surely next week we won't be talking about tariffs on Canada. Surely it would have gone.
Yeah,
Worse.
and there'll be peace in
Have
Ukraine.
you been tracking every day? There's like a pendulum that just goes like this.
Yeah.
Like we just got a new prime minister who now has to get elected, even though he's our prime minister. Oh man, this is like I'm expecting 3 months of fun. minimum.
Well, he's carbon
Yeah.
zero, your new prime minister, isn't he? He's the carbon zero
no,
man.
no. We've decided drill, baby, drill, east to west
Is it?
pipelines
Okay.
all the way.
Oh, that's good. Falling into line as that 51st state. Good on you.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, it is exactly. Exactly.
What I would like to see is the UK just go to Canada and go, look, you got oil, we want it. Do you know what I mean?
I think the Commonwealth should just like say, you know what, we kind of get along. We're
Yeah.
all far away from each other by ocean, so if we don't need to deal with each other, it's okay. Let's just get along.
Yeah, we once had the world's largest navy.
Yeah. We just
But
announced
you know what?
too.
It is crazy to me. It is.
Well, they wouldn't come in very well. You say that we're in the Commonwealth as well. Those icebreakers have been no bloody good to us. I mean, what's the point? Why do we want to get it? You know,
They have generators on board that you can connect up to your grid.
no, that's well, there you go. Yeah, no, but funny enough, I had this exact conversation with somebody from Australia recently that the Commonwealth ought to. No need to form back into what it was, but it is still a loose alliance of nations. That even in South Africa, people are
Someone
still
should ask the king
happy to
what
say
he
they're
thinks.
part of.
Well, the king
Ask
showed up
him.
with the Canadian military Navy on a couple
Yeah.
days ago after the
Yeah.
conversation.
No,
Okay.
there you
He's
go.
the boss.
I don't know if
He's
he
the boss.
remembers, but
He'll remember. He'll remember.
Well, consult Megan, she'll know.
Sure, no, yeah, but it would be interesting. But yeah, it's madness all around, and unfortunately, a lot of very utterly innocent. It's not the fault of the common man and woman in America that this is happening, and their bills are going up, and it's not the fault of the many common Canadians.
didn't they vote? Didn't they? Something about democracy and voting.
Something like that.
Democracy, you're talking about mob rule, my friend.
But here's the thing at times. It's like trying to explain sometimes to Americans that, look, what you've done to Ukraine is shaft them. Do you know what I mean? When you turned off Starlink and you you got Trump saying, kids don't want any more deaths. You got JD Vance, who got deterred from a skiing place, and he goes, "We scared my 3-year-old kid." Well, JD Vance, you turning off your intelligence to Ukraine allowed kids to die. That is just a fact. But they can't understand this. You try to explain to normal Americans, it's like saying, okay, you've got security cameras, someone turns them all off, then they come to your house, and the gun you thought you could use to defend yourself has been switched off, which means now it's not going to work. They're coming for you. That's it. They just don't get it any other way. It's like trying to explain it through a brick wall sometimes. Don't get me wrong. I know Trump's a lot of shouting, but God, it's so depressing.
Trump's a very clever man. If you've ever done any psychology course, you'll know he's a very clever man. I wrote about it today in my aardvark, why Trump is either a brilliant man or a complete idiot, and only time will tell which is.
Well, Canada's got Harry, and he's quite a smart guy at times.
But look, they have apparently turned back on, but just like Josh was saying, that swinging pendulum apparently.
Yeah.
So you look at the news 3 hours ago, turned it back on. 5 days ago, switched it off. Go
and read Aardvark. I explain exactly what he's doing and how he's doing it and how everyone is falling for it. And it's a strategy that's been used many, many times in the past by people who understand human psychology. It's a bargaining, it's a negotiating tactic. It's not.
Do you think he was surprised though when we came back and said, "Screw it, we're tariffing you and we're going to attack you"?
He would have expected that.
You think he expected that?
Yeah, it's all part of his strategy.
Yeah. Look, here it is. Here's Aardvark for those of you that don't know. Aardvark Daily, and if we get, it's like book at bedtime. If we get Bruce to read this out, then it's the audio book version.
It's the podcast version.
Yeah, but this is in the future.
It is in the future.
See,
Bruce,
that's why I have so much insight. It's that international date line.
He knows something we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. He has done it from the future. So there's
Yeah.
in fact, let me put the link to this very story in here.
Can we go to your first story that you ever wrote on this?
It's disappeared from the face because I've been doing this for 30 years this month.
I see that. I want to see the 1995 story though.
We can go back on Wayback Machine.
Okay, way back shows it.
Yeah, we'll show some of the early stuff, but a lot of the stuff was on before Wayback Machine started. So yeah, and also
Tokoroa Welding.
Yeah.
Let's go to Tokoroa Welding.
I don't know if they've got their website still. I haven't maintained that thing for ages.
Current news, August 2018.
Yeah. Don't do the news anymore.
But that is where Tokoroa is, though, isn't it? It's about 2018, 2019, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere back there.
Somewhere back there. Yeah. Where is the? Oh, of course you didn't get to see that. Share this tab. It said where is the playground? And that's something that people go. What was that video called?
I can't remember.
I'm trying to look for that as well.
You just go Tokoroa Playground, you'll probably find it.
Yeah, that's definitely worth a watch. Yeah, there it is. Who stole Tokoroa's playground?
This town is famous for the most unusual things.
Yeah, it's Sarah and I, because we often muse about going to New Zealand, and wonder, especially a few years ago, it was maybe we could go and live over there or something like that. But then we saw this video and thought, oh yeah, maybe not. So that's that video there. It's in the link for you, dear viewers. It's something for you to watch. We're definitely talking nonsense. It's 10 past the hour. Has any more for any more? Anyone got anything else?
No, I'm done.
No. Going once, going twice, dear viewer, wherever you are in the world. Who knows what's going to happen in the next week before we convene again?
We'll be here.
If we're still here, that's right. Look after yourself wherever you are. I'm very sorry if you are affected by this lunacy and it's giving trouble to your family. We are thinking of you on that side. We know that everyone's not to blame. And where's Ian? He's locked up. There's things. But dear viewer, we'll see you again next week at 2100 Gin and Tonic. Look after yourselves. Be careful out there. Bye bye for now. And there's you see.